Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 102. My name is Craig Prowse, and joining me, returning for another episode, is my brother, Gino Prowse. How are you, my man?
Very good. Pleasure to be aboard. Glad to be back.
Yeah, we had some comments that people like it when the twin duo gets back into the seat.
Some do.
Unfortunately, Andrew isn't with us again, and he said I can speak about it. Andrew did get COVID. So we are just being safe and responsible and just giving it some time and some distance. So I know he's still watching the shows and he's on the road to recovery. So Godspeed, my man.
Yes,
Godspeed. So Andrew will be back sooner than later, but you might see this kid's face around for a little bit.
One more time.
Before we get started, guys, do a favor and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And if you can, jump down below and leave a comment because we love to interact with you guys. Follow us on all the social medias that you see. You guys can hit our link tree and that'll take you to everyone that you want to go to. And then if you guys are listening to the audio only version of the podcast, we have now made our host Anchor. So if you guys go to Anchor, you can still click links that'll take you to Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. But it does a cool feature for us that you guys can support the show for as little as 99 cents a month if you want, which would be cool to start getting guests on the show as well as maybe upgrade some of our equipment. And then the other feature that I liked is that you can leave voice messages. So if anyone wants to click it and leave a message, we could use it as a question on the show or just, give you a shout out. So really cool and interesting.
You made me download yesterday. It seemed like a really cool platform to use. I'm going to utilize it a little bit more.
Yeah, I've never really used Anchor before, so it's a little getting used to, but that's what we're going to be using moving forward. So when we do these episodes, guys, we love to have some beers on the show. And this week, I went and picked out Kilt Lifter. This is a 6% alcohol, categorized as a Scottish export ale, and it is made at the Four Peaks Brewing Company. And we love me some Kilt Lifter, and it's just a nice beer. We usually have it when we go to Vegas. When's the last time you had it? Do you remember?
There was an event at the Rotary Park that I was with Lane at, and
Classic Lane.
The beer truck had Kilt Lifter, so we were getting them cheap because it was like his grandpa or something. So I haven't had it in a while, but it's always good, always refreshing. Golden ales are usually pretty solid up there.
Yeah, I like on the can, it kind of says like what it's going to have in it, and it says malty, toasted, and love. So when they ask you, is this, what's this made out of? You can say it's with love. It says so right there on the can.
It says so on the box.
But yeah, nice hearty beer. So if you guys are drinking along with us at home, pick out a nice beer and take some sips with us. So this is the part of the show before we dive into the stories where we do What Are You Up To? Where we take a quick second to talk about what we've been playing, what we've been watching, any cool stories that have been going on. So, Gino, what are you up to?
Yeah, after just beating Mass Effect, don't want to jump into something right away, so just been catching up on my Halo Master Chief. Been having a blast with that. Playing a lot of SWAT. It was really cool because we got to play with Craig, Aaron, Corey the other day. So just getting back into the groove of that, having a lot of fun. Haven't been watching any new TV shows yet, but I have been checking out Hunter x Hunter on Netflix. It's probably what I'm going to start next. But I did just watch Sweet Girl, Jason Momoa's new film that came out on Netflix, and I actually had a lot of fun with it. It kind of got trashed as far as reviews. I think IMDb gave it like a 5.6. Don't listen to that. Go in there, give it your own opinion. It's a solid B action movie. I'm not going to give anything away. First act was good. Act 2 I did kind of fall out, but Act 3 really brought it home for me. So I would say give it your own opinion. Watch it. It's definitely worth it. I thought his acting was fine, but a good solid B action movie.
No, yeah, Netflix kind of has this weird track record where their original movies and shows, like their shows do great, but then their movies are like really hit or miss. So I plan on watching it, and hopefully it is a good one. Was that all you had going on, my man?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, guys, what I've been up to in terms of what I was watching is I finally finished Big Bang. It was a nice, good run. Haven't done that in a while, so it was good doing that. But the movie that I just went and saw in theaters was Free Guy. That's that new Ryan Reynolds movie where he's like within a game. And even going to theaters, I went and there was only maybe about 8 people in the theater, so it was still kind of comfortable enough to where I didn't mind being around that kind of crowd. Everyone was pretty much distanced. But the movie is, when I've only seen one trailer, so I didn't know really what to expect. It looked like it was just this character in this game that realizes he's in a game, but the other storyline that goes on is what's happening with the company that's running the game and all of that, which is actually pretty interesting. Taika Waititi is the owner of this game company, and this, for me, I feel like is the part that either people love or hate, because he's a very interesting character. I thought he was hilarious, so I actually really enjoyed watching it. But this movie had a lot of heart, and it has a really good soundtrack. So if you guys do want to check it out, I would definitely go do it. And it's also been greenlit for a part 2 already. So I really want you to see it. I want everyone that plays games to go see it, because it's not really like a video game movie, but it's a movie about video games. So
yeah, right up my alley. I mean, they went to go watch. I was at work when they did it, so I didn't get to jump in on that train. But it's Ryan Reynolds, so you can't go wrong, and the concept looks great.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, and what I've been playing is I just finished Dodgeball Academia, which was fantastic. It's on the Game Pass if you guys get a chance to play it. If you like turn-based RPGs with like sports mechanics, yeah, go check it out. It's a really cool leveling up system and a lot of interesting characters. But the game I've been playing that I just cannot get enough of is Hades, which is developed and published by Supergiant Games. It had early access back in 2018. It came to the PC and Switch in September of 2020, but now just recently it came to PlayStation and Xbox consoles on August 13th, 2021. And this game is blowing up. It's like being reinvented or reintroduced into this gaming culture. And I played it on the Switch, but I don't know. Just something about it. I'm like, I'm just gonna wait because I know it's gonna come to console. Once I started playing it on console, dude, I'm like running through it. It's super interesting because you play Zagreus, who's Hades' son, and he's trying to escape the underworld. So the gods of Mount Olympus are like trying to help you. So every run, because I'm not a big fan of roguelikes, essentially what you're doing is you're dying and repeating it. But when you die, every run gives you new abilities, new benefits, new scenarios. When you come back to the underworld, like you talk to more people and they give you like new quests you can do, new items you can get. So the game is super addicting. And Gino sent me this article earlier today, which I didn't even know, that Hades is actually the #1 game on with Metacritic score that's on PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. It's sitting at a 94 on Xbox and a 93 on Hades. So it actually beats out Microsoft Flight Simulator on Xbox and Demon's Souls on the PS5, which I think is super impressive. And I really can't wait for you to play it because I want to talk about it with you. It's so good.
It's definitely going to be coming on my list. I think we talked about it a lot. I mean, it won a ton of awards too. So that was kind of the reason I held off on it. On Switch, I was going to buy it, but we had a strong feeling it was coming to the Game Pass. Just been playing Mass Effect, so I haven't had a time to yet. Maybe after my Halo itch has been scratched, then I'll be probably jumping into that.
Yeah, so guys, jump down in the comments below and let us know what you've been playing, what you've been watching, what you've been up to, because that's the stuff I love to hear about. So with that done and out of the way, guys, we're going to move into our main story, and that is that Call of Duty Vanguard had a lot of info drop this past week, and it came with a 3-minute trailer and a release date showing November 5th. Now, we got a note here that last week when Gino and I were talking about us playing Diablo 2, that Activision Blizzard is kind of under some controversy right now. So it's really up to you guys to look more into this and see how you guys want to react to it. But I feel like we got to talk about it and put it into context, because our main story is this the year that Call of Duty kind of struggles to sell as much as it always does, or really at all in terms of the numbers that it's used to? So there's going to be a link in the description where Kotaku kind of covers all of this. So real quickly, I'm just going to read the allegations that Activision and Blizzard is in. So if you did not know, you'll be a little caught up. So today's reveal comes as Activision Blizzard reckons with allegations of widespread sexual harassment and discrimination from a lawsuit filed by California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing last month. In addition to instances of sexual misconduct, discrepancies in pay and promotions, and racist treatment of employees of color, the lawsuit also alleged a general frat boy workplace culture at the company where some male employees would proudly come into work hungover, play video games for long periods of time during work while delegating their responsibilities to female employees, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, and talk openly about female bodies and joke about rape. So that is a lot. I mean, that's serious stuff. And it did happen back in July 20th is when this got filed, but this has been going on. This investigation has gone back as far as 2018. So the reason we bring it up is because you take a look at even some games like WoW, for instance, like they took a huge hit in terms of their player base because a lot of people are kind of boycotting this. And, you know, obviously Activision Blizzard has denied all this, and over the next few months or so, we should see more how this shakes out, but there's no denying that they're taking a safer approach in terms of how they're affiliated with their product, because when the new trailer came out, the first thing that a lot of people saw was there is no Activision on any of the splash screens. It really just says Call of Duty presents Sledgehammer Games. So I'm interested, because obviously there's going to be more things that we're going to talk about here in a second, but I'm interested, if you think that it was a smart move that they removed themselves from it, so nobody can, when they watch that trailer, even see the name and associate it with you, or associate it with it. And do you think this will be a big hurdle, the first of many hurdles for them to climb in terms of, is the general population even going to associate with Call of Duty this time around?
I think from a PR standpoint, they had to do it whenever there's an issue like that, and a horrible one at that. You got to distance yourself. That's rule number one. So I think as far as a business decision, it is smart to do that. However, someone like us who knows what's going on, when I watched the trailer, I saw that big sledgehammer. I'm like, wow, you don't see the Activision on there. But I was watching it with Denny for the first time. He's like, oh, what's with the sledgehammer? And I was like, oh, it's because the Activision stuff. He's like, what happened? So there is a populace there that doesn't know what's going on. So I think it was a smart move for them to do it, but I think it's also bringing the general person who doesn't know about it to ask questions, because that was the first thing he said. He's like, what's up with the sledgehammer? Didn't know. So it's going to be very curious to see how many people notice that, which I bet everybody will, because he is a common player of it, to see that it is going to ask more questions than it is to quell what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's going to hurt them, at least in terms of what the public eye is and how they're being viewed at. It's it's dark stuff that they're dealing with and that they're having to try to surpass. And the fact that they're an annualized game means that if this stuff isn't settled by the end of this year or beginning of next, their next game is going to have to deal with the same controversy. You know what I mean? So that's easily the first biggest thing that they're going to have to try to tackle and get over. And I don't think it's going to be an easy one, because if any of this comes out in more negative light as being true, or that a lot of it did happen, I can see it being a big issue for them. But I'm also curious, in the second thing that I think they're having an issue with, or this I think they'll have a problem, is that they're going back to a World War II setting. And we just had a Call of Duty literally called World War II, and the difference is that this game isn't like a sequel to it. You know what I mean? It's not the same character, at least as far as I can tell. It's not the same characters rolling over into a part 2. So do you think it was a smart idea for them to go back to World War II when we just had one? And when Call of Duty should it be exploring new things instead of going back and kind of rinse and repeating? I know they're taking a different spin on this. I believe the last thing was this might be like an alternate timeline of events in World War II, so that could be extremely interesting. But as far as the player base, were you rushing to go back to World War II?
That's an interesting question, because I think diehards and critics will always say, why aren't they exploring new stuff, or give us some new content? As someone who plays the game when it comes out, it's hot, I like the multiplayer, and then I drop it and play other games. The last World War II one was the one I found had the most fun with. It was the one I actually played the longest, so I think their target audience is me. I love this time period. I don't care how many games we get of it. I think the weapons are unique. I think the story needs to be told. I mean, that history lesson needs to be there. So I don't care how many times we go back to World War II. The style of gameplay, the trenches, all that stuff for me as a game was super fun to play. So I'm actually very excited to play it, where I think the alternate coin to that is the fan being, well, what's our new stuff, or what new stuff are we getting? And I don't know, I actually really, really love it and excited to go back to it.
The other thing I wanted to say before we move to the third part is that, and this may have been cleaned up or not, it was the last article I read, so if it has been fixed, apologies, but the last thing I remember reading was that they're not going to be shying away from using like swastikas this time around. So do you think that kind of stands more to being realistic, or should they have kind of kept the like Iron Cross maybe as the symbol in terms of like the propaganda that they're going to show? Do you think that's going to hurt them at all in terms of showing it?
I don't know, because that's also a super interesting point with how we are right now in culture and sensitivity and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also a firm believer in, if you don't know the history, it's doomed to repeat itself. As horrible as it is, I don't mind seeing that reminder there, because it reminds you of what the history was. And if your game's on World War II, I want the history of it. I mean, it's not their job to teach us, but personally as a fan playing the game, I really enjoy it. But with the culture we're in, that might be another backlash for them. But I'm actually glad that they stuck to their guns and kept it versus altering it in some way.
Yeah, I am too. And I think the masses are giving this thing a harder time. And again, we are living in that age where a lot of people express their opinions on what offends them, and the swastika is an offensive symbol, but when you're talking about World War II, I think you need to talk about World War II. I mean, I get that this might be an alternate timeline, but if you're still talking about the Nazis, then I think you've got to show what the Nazis are there. So
real quick too,
yeah.
since we're talking about it, is I was watching the What If episode that we were talking about with my daughter, and all the German stuff was coming in, and I said, I wonder if we see Hitler, and she's like, oh, I've heard of Hitler. I'm like, well, what do you know? She's like, nothing. And I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, so she didn't know anything about, and I know she's in 8th grade, and in high school, they hopefully teach it more, but no concept or clue of what it was. So I kind of broke it down of what it was. So something like this, if a young kid's playing, maybe it tells them a little more history and
yeah, it's an interesting point.
So I don't know. I like that they kept it.
Yeah, I do as well. And I don't know. I don't think out of the 3 things I want to talk about,
not in a bad way for history.
Right.
Yeah.
For history principle. Out of the 3 things that we're going to talk about, I think that one, I don't think it's going to affect it that much. I think World War II was generally a good game.
Problems.
Yeah. So the third one coming at it from a different angle is that the competition this year. Generally speaking, Call of Duty is unrivaled in terms of the star power that it gets, but Call of Duty has been losing its steam. Call of Duty has been kind of on the decline, and I wish Andrew was kind of here to elaborate, because Andrew is our FPS guy. He is the guy that knows Call of Duty's inside and out. But even when I was talking with them and other like streamers like Chet, like they're not even playing Call of Duty anymore right now, because there's so many like hackers, and it's so being like people are cheating the system that it's not even really fun for them. So I'm wondering if, since Call of Duty is kind of getting stale, this is the year where Battlefield 2042 is coming out, and in October 2021. Now, if it's changed its date since recording this, then that's what it is. But as of right now, last I checked, it was October 2021, and Battlefield 2042 is looking great. Like, everyone that's watching this thing is going, damn, this is going to be a powerhouse. But even the more important player is Halo Infinite. Should be dropping this year, and rumor still says, and speculation is that it's going to be November. So, I mean, Call of Duty usually goes unrivaled in terms of, like I said, its star power, but you've got Battlefield 2042 coming back, looking the best it has, and then you've got Halo Infinite, especially after the tech preview, it got a lot of positive reviews. So this is another third thing with competition. Like, are people going to be buying that when they've got 2042 to buy, and if you don't have the Game Pass, buying Halo Infinite? So in terms of what else is out there in the wild when this game launches, because that's all the same window between October and November, do you think that's going to stop it at all? Do you think that's going to slow it down?
Yeah, because the 2042 has players who were complaining about the franchise, like Mandrew, coming back and even more excited than ever. So if they get their hands on this game a month before Call of Duty drops, they got a full month of investing into it, and maybe they don't want to switch. The other thing, too, is with Halo, it looks so good. It's like they're finally returning to form. Now, they haven't announced that it's November. It's supposed to be holiday season. So if it comes out in December, Call of Duty might have a chance. But if it drops early November, like because I think Call of Duty said November 5th, they got a real problem. Because I think, well, with me, if I had to pick one or two, I'm going to pick Halo, and I'm going to play that. So I think they're kind of in a real sticky situation. If Halo comes out a little bit later, maybe they have a fighting chance. But if it comes out early November and 2042 is as good as it looks, they might be the number 3 guy this year.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I'm this topic because we were talking about is like, man, Call of Duty, generally speaking, or I guess objectively speaking, dominates every sale. Like, even their worst ones, like I think like Ghost is generally regarded as one of the weaker ones, still sold like a shitload of copies. So, but this is the first time it's getting hit from, and not just one angle. It's like 3 different things. It's going to be its parent company, Activision Blizzard, is not in the best of spotlight. Is the setting for players that just got over WW2, and because there are a lot of WW2 games that we've got so much. Maybe some people are just bored of that, and then now you've got big, heavy competition. So, bottom line, man, is this is the year to, if they were going to, have any trouble maintaining a top spot, this is the year to do it. So overall, though, how do you think they're going to walk out of this thing? What's your guess come November 5th? Is it going to launch successfully? And do you think it's going to have the legs once, Halo's in the mix? Do you think this thing's going to stay on top, if at all?
I think it has enough fans and cookie cutter buyers like me. Like, I'll buy every installment to play it. I think it has, and people want to talk shit about this game if it is bad. So I think it's going to probably do its worst year, but I don't think it's going to be big enough for them to not make one next year or the year after. I think they are going to take a hit just because they have everything going against them this year. But it's Call of Duty, and I think it's going to recover, and everybody wants to play them. But I think this is the year that you'll see it come in third.
Yeah, what's interesting too is that Call of Duty's lucky that it has, it's cross-platform. Like it's going to be able to be sold on everything. Where I think Halo will beat it. But so many people are going to play it on the Game Pass, so we're not going to see sales figures for Halo Infinite. Sales figures are going to be low because most people are going to be playing it on Game Pass. So I think this game is going to, unfortunately, in terms of the kind of cloud that surrounds it, I think it's still going to do good because we do our best to present this kind of information to people that are unaware, but generally speaking, most people aren't reading articles about Call of Duty Vanguard and even know the allegations that they're going with to even make a decision on boycotting them in terms of that. Most people that have been playing Call of Duty, have been sitting back going, well, the last few Battlefields weren't great, and when's the last time there was a good Halo game, you know what I mean? So in their mind, Call of Duty is still the top dog, and World War II is just another setting. So if you are someone like that, and maybe none of this is going to change your decision, I do kind of want to point out what Vanguard is going to be offering. And again, this is in the Kotaku report, and it says, on the multiplayer side, Vanguard will feature 16 core maps and 4 maps for a new Champion Hill game mode. It will also have cross-play and cross-progression and a zombies mode developed by fellow Call of Duty studio Treyarch. Vanguard will also be integrated into Warzone as well, with the free-to-play Battle Royale getting a new map and weapons around the same time the new game launches. So even if the other things don't sway you from getting it, if you already planned on getting it, everything looks good. They're going to have zombies, which everyone loves, a new game mode, a bunch of maps.
Augie only plays zombies. There's a huge fan base for that. So at least launching with it instead of coming out as DLC, that's a huge point for them.
Yeah, and the fact that they're staying in the Warzone is just, more reason to just stay in that community. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough one. I would think that they aren't going to be as successful as they naturally would have been. But unfortunately, I still think they're going to do exceptionally well. That's just how I see it.
The verbiage cross progression too, because I'm assuming that means if I have my PS5 account, I can jump to my Xbox One, pick up my same character. If that's what it's saying, that's a really cool idea, because I don't think anything else has that, does it? You can log in both characters and you're at the same level, same progression. That's what I take cross progression at, unless it's something
There's a couple
different.
things that will do it in terms of like the cloud, because I know you can bounce between some games like on PC and then go to Xbox and it'll do it. As far as like hard console,
yeah, but that's the same company.
Right, that's what I'm saying. As far as this though,
if that's what it means, like that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, but this would definitely be the biggest one of note.
I would say it has everything good going for it, but it has the worst of everything also going against it at the same time. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see what this looks like come holiday season.
Yeah, because we're 3.5 months away from actually seeing how it's gonna launch. So I don't know. The question is for you guys. What do you plan on doing with Call of Duty Vanguard? I posted it on our Last Call Facebook, asked if anybody was hype about it. People are laughing faces. Nope. So obviously this is going to affect some people, and the question is going to be how many. So I'm really curious if, you guys jump down in the comments below and let us know, what do you think is going to happen with Call of Duty? Do you think they're going to be affected by one or all of these things that we're talking about? Because I think all of these are an important factor in determining how successful this game's going to be. So is there anything else you want to add on that?
No, that's...
Alrighty, guys. So that is
enough.
That is our big story with Call of Duty. And when Andrew gets back, I'd love to kind of pick his brain about it and see where he kind of stands on that. But with that done, guys, let's move into a little ripping it up. And I'll go first with my riff, and that is that Gamescom is coming on for 2021 season. It's launching on August 25th, and it's going to run through August 27th. And the cool thing is that Jeff Keighley is going to be a host for this, and Jeff Keighley obviously is from the Video Game Awards and extremely charismatic. One of the highlights they're saying is that on the opening night, let's see. So this is from Video Game Chronicle, and it says this. The event will kick off Wednesday, August 25th with an opening night live showcase including over 30 games. Kolmis and the German Games Industry Association said that on Wednesday. So I like that they're kind of launching that first day with 30 games, and this is going to be next week. So if you guys were looking for something to watch, look at, because it is going to be a digital event. It's going to be another year where they're not going to do anything in person, because I believe Gamescom is always in Germany that you can actually go to. But I don't know, 30 big games next week. I mean, obviously that'll be probably our main topic for the next show. I'm super excited. I love seeing some new games coming into the list.
Yeah, that type of news is always good. I mean, if I can get any type of show showing games or Nintendo Directs or anything, I'm super excited. August 25th is a Wednesday, so I'll be catching it right after work. We'll probably jump into a party. I mean, this stuff's always fun to drink a beer to, play with, react to. So, I mean, always a good time to watch something like this.
Yeah, so it shows back in 2020, Gamescom's opening night live attracted over 2 million simultaneous viewers, so which was fourfold increase compared to the inaugural show back in 2019. So that's huge, man. I mean, obviously that audience is growing, so hopefully 2021 it'll be even bigger. So make sure you guys stay tuned in for that, and of course we'll be covering it next week. But that is my riff. What do you got?
So mine actually goes back into kind of a bad news. It comes out on Halo. It came out yesterday, and it's kind of a disappointment. Halo Infinite is not launching with multiplayer campaign or Forge mode. So here's a quote that we had pulled up from the site. Our number one priority is making sure whatever we ship, whenever we ship it, meets the right quality bar across all platforms, Xbox devices, PC, and all of its different configurations. And when we looked at these two experiences, Campaign Co-op and Forge, we made the determination they're just not ready, stat instead. As a studio, we don't want to ship things if they're not ready, so people can play them, have fun, have a nice, stable, performant experience. So we're going to keep Campaign Co-op and Forge in the oven for a little bit longer, and then when they're ready, we're going to release them as part of our seasonal roadmap next year. So on the one side, you got to be happy with them saying, hey, we're not going to release shit with you guys on launch and get a bunch of complaints. This isn't ready. We're going to fix it. The shitty part is, though, like, this game was supposed to come out last year, so how not ready was it ever? But this is kicking a dead horse at this point. So when you go look at it, they say it's going to come out, multiplayer is supposed to come out Season 2, and then the Forge is supposed to come out in Season 3, and they say their seasons are typically about 3 months. So it's not a huge time period. It's not next year. It is going to be free. It's nothing paid extra. But someone like myself, me and Daniel recently beat all of them together in 2019, and we were big time. We're going to take a day off when we knew the date and everything and play this together. So it's really kind of a bummer to look forward to this thing, get it declined or delayed, and then have the main feature I kind of wanted to do. So much so that I'm not going to play the story by myself. I am going to wait the 3 months and have the multiplayer and play with friends. So it's not a complete loss. Forge, I don't do anything with, so it doesn't really hit me as hard, but that's actually one of the biggest things that Halo offers. There's a huge community around Forge maps. So that's kind of a bummer for them too, because people want to get their hands on this stuff, the editing tools, make some maps. So not good news, but you got to respect the answer. Hey, it's not ready. We want to make it ready. It's going to be the best possible when it does. Give us 3 more months. I can live with that, but it is a big bummer.
It's just the co-op campaign though, right? The multiplayer is still going to be functional online.
That's all I'm going to play when it comes out, but like, I was going to take it.
Right. Knock out the campaign, because even like when Halo, what was the last one? Not 5, right? Mm-hmm. So even when Halo 5 came out, like me, Sean Love, and 2 other buddies sat down and beat the game in one session. It's going to suck that you can't campaign co-op with somebody and try to like do the distance and run through it, which is a weird thing. Like that's what's not ready. Out of all the things that aren't ready, it's adding you can't co-op in the campaign, and then. And the Forge, you said, is just what? Map making? Is that what
Forge is editing maps, creating maps. When we were playing Halo 2 the other night, we had that map that we had never played before.
Right.
That was a Forge map that a fan had made, and it got to that point. So both aspects are super big deals into the game. And to not
it's surprising that that's what's not ready.
Because when we were talking with TK, we were like, oh, can't wait till we can all run through this game together. Like I would have never thought that a co-op campaign would have not been at launch. Like, that part's just a little weird to me.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll see what happens when it comes. Maybe they'll surprise hit us and say that it is ready. But, yeah, that is an odd one. But
I need some good news in my life.
Yeah, jump down to the comments, guys, and let us know what you think about that. So, with the riffs done, guys, we're going to move into questions of the week. And if you guys want to submit a question, just jump down in the comments. And it can be about anything. It can be about video games, movies, comics. I mean, whatever you guys want to talk about, we're here to answer. So our question today comes from Divine Anchor. And they write, I have a question. Have you ever learned more about a medium from how it was originally intended? Example, for me, I really got into comics and the lore through Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That game really introduced me to the likes of Onslaught and the War Machine. We were sitting here talking about that is a really interesting point. So essentially, did you learn more about the original medium, the original thing from like, I don't want to say a spin-off, but from like a side project that features said thing? So you got anything that you want to mention?
I would say looking at the question, because the original medium for D&D is tabletop, paper dice, all that kind of stuff. But when you're little like that, it's a hard concept to grasp. And when we're younger, we were always playing two-player games. How do we two-player games and stuff? So we picked up Baldur's Gate relatively young, I think when it came out. And that really opened our mind and experience to the D&D, leveling up, for the first time, picking skills and classes. And then once we knew it was an actual game and there's so much more out there, it led us back to the original medium and some of the books and stuff. But I think playing the game first and introducing the world of Baldur's Gate
like
and
a
Dungeons
console
and
game
Dragons,
first.
was probably our first exposure to it.
I remember also, if we're to stay on that subject, is like even when we would go to like the library or something, just finding like art books of like fantasy and stuff like that was kind of something that kind of led us into going, oh well, what actually plays on that, and D&D was obviously the best answer for it. But I really like this question. I was talking with Gino earlier, and one of the things I'd have to say would just be toys, because as kids, you got a bunch of toys, and the younger you were, you might have not have known. I remember having Batman toys as a kid before I ever could read comic books. So I would say our toys, because Gino and I had a bunch. We were fortunate enough to have a lot of stuff when we were a kid in terms of like what we could play with. So I remember we'd have like a bunch. Gino would have like these G.I. Joe sets, and we'd be messing with them, and then we were like, oh, this is a cartoon that we could play. And I don't know, I would say it might be kind of the cheesy gateway drug answer to that question, but that did a lot in terms of me going, oh, there's movies about this. Oh, there's a TV show about this. And one of the things you kind of learn later on is that promotional wise, the toys usually did come out before the movie or the show, which was the general point to get you to see. So I don't know. I would say toys would be a solid.
Yeah, I say that's
answer.
very fair, because we didn't have cable, I think, until we moved into the new house in like 93, 94. So we were 5 before we actually had cable, and we had toys. And I have old school He-Man toys and stuff like that, but we didn't actually start watching cartoons like that until the new house.
Or getting comic books until we're like, oh, Batman.
We saw Cartoon Network for the first time and stuff like that, and all these cartoons, and we're like, oh, cool, all this stuff relates. So I think that's fair.
Yeah, but and speaking on toys, I was gonna say in the beginning, I kind of forgot. So I was at Walmart a couple days ago, and they have this Turbo Man toy that was sitting there, and I was looking at it, and the back of the box had this big fat dent in it, and this lady was just walking by, this Harvey Dent in it, and I asked her, I'm like, hey, do you guys have any more of these that aren't beat the shit out of? And she's like, well, there's supposed to be 2 in the store, but it could be anywhere. I'm like, okay.
Maybe someone's hiding it.
That's what I'm thinking. Or had it on layaway. Yeah. So I went back to Walmart today, because that's where I found out it was a Walmart. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to check. And I went back there, and it was right where I left it. And I'm like, it's probably the same one. I look, and I turn it around, and it's this fucking mint condition Turbo Man.
Pristine.
If you guys are fans of Jingle All the Way, then you know it's Turbo time. So I don't know. Speaking of toys, it kind of like jogged my memory. Look at the side of it. If you look at the side, it has all the other characters, but I only saw him. And surprisingly, if they did come out with all the other ones,
it's a fictional show.
No, they actually did a 1996 line. So those toys. So I think this is like the remake of the old ones. Yeah. But I'm like, damn, a Turbo Man's in stock. I thought I was gonna get Demon 1 and Demon 2. Hey, shut up, Booster. No one likes you,
Booster.
So I don't know. That's another fun story.
I'm very impressed with this, and like, you only know if you know, because this is only from one obscure movie that if you never watched it, you don't know what this thing is, and I love that.
Yeah, I was literally, because I was going down, because I bought Grayson, my nephew, his son, a toy when last time I was at Walmart. So I was walking down the aisle, and like I don't know how, I just periphed it, because it was on the bottom shelf. It wasn't like it was right there, and I'm like, That looks like a turtle man.
And this is part of my annual Christmas run.
I was just telling Pat Carter that. Yeah.
Movies, like, put it on your list. You won't be disappointed. Great movie.
Yeah, so there's your fun story for toys. And yeah, I love the question. If anyone else makes it this far in the episode, jump down below and leave your answer if you can think of another one. So generally, guys, this would be to the part where during a giveaway we would talk about the rules and all that stuff. But like I mentioned earlier, Andrew has been absent and he's been under the weather. So unfortunately, we still haven't had a chance to iron out those details. So the next time you see Andrew on the show, whether that be next week or 2 weeks from now, that is when we will have the answers for the Xbox Series X giveaway. So I know we announced it earlier, but some of these things you just can't see happening. So it will be on an episode coming up, and it will be very soon. But that is the end of this episode, my man. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Thanks for getting it to the end.
Thanks for inviting me back.
Nice, guys. So until next time, my name is Craig Paralis. That is Gino Paralis, and cheers. So what was your favorite toy as a kid when we were little? I'm trying to remember because we had all those like boxes of shit. So I remember like a couple stand out. I remember like my John Connor was a good one that came with the bike.
John Connor was great.
I remember my Superboy that had the leather jacket one from the Death of the Superman Superboy. Mm-hmm. I remember those were my two favorite. But what about you?
It goes in stages because I remember like when we went to Happy Trails, I had found this.
Fuck, you remember Happy Trails?
Bits and pieces because I remember finding this Swamp Thing. And it wasn't one that I had. And he was like a blue-black one, and his arm shot out, if I remember right.
The one with the string? His arm would come and you would pull it?
Yeah. And I remember that one, and then as we got older and we used to do the battles, we would pick all the toys and do. I always remembered I had a Pirate Robin.
I remember him.
And I always loved him, and then I had a Vampire Donatello from that Halloween series.
Yeah.
And I always made sure I had him, and Robin was like my captain kind of dude.
Because I remember this, I think it was like, there was one of them was a Frankenstein, and one of them was a mummy. And, well, Leonardo was the werewolf, that's one I had.
Yeah, Raphael was the mummy, and Michelangelo was the Frankenstein. And I think we had all of them.
I remember in, I don't remember what grade, it would have been like 4th grade, I think. I traded this, I did a shitty trade. I traded this like big mecha, like Godzilla kind of thing, but it was missing his shootout projectile arm. So I was like, I don't need it. And this kid, AJ, had a Cyclops from the 90s show, but he had the button and his visor would light up. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, sick. Like, I want that toy. And then I think, like, Mom made us, like, trade it back or something like that. But I traded him again down the low, because I still have that Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember trading,
I remember the Mecha Godzilla, though.
Yeah, he was missing an arm. I remember shooting it at something and it went flying, but,
yeah. I remember I had a T2 Schwarzenegger where you could remove his arm, and you could put his regular arm on, or you could put it into like a rocket launcher, and that was always pretty fun.
Which he never did in the movie, though. So it was another one of those things where like the toy was different from what the actual like movie or the show was, which was always interesting. They always did like spin-offs.
You learned about the movie through the toy.
Hey, sometimes you got to play to learn, baby. Play to learn.
Mm-hmm. And then what was it? Remember Ryan, like Brian and Vinny and Ryan and all those people. Do you remember a favorite toy that they would bring to Happy Trails? Or if you spent the night at someone's house, they had a toy.
I remember, I think it was Ryan. Didn't he have like that big ass T2, like look like the fucking movie? I remember he would have that. Or
he used to come with a backpack.
He had like the big expensive toys, and I thought he had a Batman too, like a
real top tier,
like Michael Keaton like Batman figure. But I remember that, and I remember in 4th grade or 5th grade or something when we used to have the wrestling. The toys that would vibrate, you'd push the button, they'd move, and like Forrest had like Sting or something like that, something that we didn't have.
You just had to make trades.
Yeah,
I remember we had the Giant and a few other ones, but
yeah, those are always good times.
You go to Kmart and all the Stings were gone.
All the Stings and all the Hogans. We ended up getting them though, but because everyone wanted like Nash, Razor Ramon, or Scott Hall, and then you get stuck with like DDP or something.
Oh yeah,
yeah, simpler times. Being nothing like a childhood memory with some fun toys.
Yeah, your imagination did most of the work back then.